Certainteed Roofing is pleased to announce the introduction of an insulation program created to help roofing contractors profit from the attic retrofit market. The program is intended to assist roofing contractors grow their business profitably and provide homeowners with a single source for their roof remodeling and attic insulation needs. It's clear that roofing contractors are well positioned to incorporate the benefits of a properly insulated attic, in addition to prospective roof remodeling jobs. Certainteed Roofing hopes that this introduction to just how easy it is to install attic insulation will convince you to incorporate this service to your customers. Before you start, you'll need to install attic rulers to guide you in achieving the proper insulation depth for the R value you desire. 3 of these rulers should be visible for every 500 square feet of your attic. Staple them to rafters, referring to the instructions on the ruler for more details. Attic baffles or vents must also be installed at every soffit-vented bay, or as required by the local building code. This ensures that outside air can still enter the attic to maintain proper ventilation. To help you keep track of how much insulation you're installing, mentally divide the attic space into quarters. For example, let's assume you've calculated that you'll need 10 bags to complete the job. When you've blown the proper amount of TrueComfort into about 1/4 of the attic, you should have used about 2.5 bags of material. Some portions of the attic should be kept free of TrueComfort insulation, including areas around HVAC equipment and the attic hatch, and any space you wish to use for storage. Stand fiberglass bats on edge to form walls around these areas. Now let's talk about the TrueComfort installation equipment, which consists of a blowing machine and a hose with a remote control unit that enables the person in the attic to stop and start the machine as needed. The machine consists of 2 components, a hopper and a wheeled base. The base includes an operator control panel on the side, which features a green start button, a red stop button, and a white ready light that will be on when the hopper is attached to the base and the electrical cord is plugged in. Make sure all circuit breakers are on or in activation mode in order to run the machine. The white ready light will be illuminated. Inside the base are agitator paddles, which condition the insulation material before sending it into the airlock and then out through the hose. To set up the machine, put the hopper, which is essentially a feed chute and is the top portion of the unit, onto the base so the wheels are on the same side as the hopper opening. There are 4 rubber latches on the sides that secure the hopper to the base. The hopper must be attached to the base for the machine to operate. You should test the machine while it's empty to ensure it's in good working order. First, join the 2 50-foot hose sections together using the hose clamp with the remote control at the far end of the hose. Then attach the hose to the machine with the quick connector. Plug the unit into a 15-amp grounded outlet and point the hose into a trash bag or trash can so any leftover insulation in the machine doesn't wind up in your yard or garage. Make sure the ready light on the control panel is on. To start the machine, press the green Start button. The installer can also start the machine using the green button on the remote. But remember, all circuit breaker switches on the panel must be on for the machine to function. The machine should start right up, but if it doesn't, make sure the extension cord is secure at both ends. Make sure the hopper is properly seated and is in the correct orientation. Check the circuit breaker in the house and make sure the agitator circuit breaker button is set. The breaker is tripped if a white stripe is visible under the button. push the button to reset this breaker. If the GFCI is tripped, reset it. You'll know the GFCI is tripped if the ready light on the control panel is not lit, even though the hopper is in place and the main circuit breaker is on. Check the hopper and base, which may be jammed if insulation is already in there. If none of these things help, check the machine preparation section of the installation instructions. Once you've completed a successful test start, turn off the machine. Carry the hose to the farthest point in the attic. If more than the standard 100 feet of hose is required, be aware that the longer hose length will decrease both installed square foot coverage and the arc length, which is the distance from the end of the hose to where the insulation lands. Finally, prepare your insulation. Use a long-bladed knife to cut packages in half according to the instructions on the package. Cut about 1/4 of your total number of packages to start, and stack the rest near the machine for easy access. The process of feeding insulation into the blowing machine is pretty simple, but there are a couple of key points to be aware of. Place one of the package halves into the hopper chute and align the green dotted line with the knife slot. It's important to note that the open part of the bag should be facing to the left and never into the hopper. When positioned this way, the arrows will point into the hopper, and the green dotted line will match up with the knife slot. Remember, never position the open end of the half package facing into the hopper. Insert the knife into the slot and slit quickly across the entire package from left to right. Be aware that the compressed insulation will expand quickly into the hopper opening. It's best if material feeds into the machine evenly. Begin feeding the compressed insulation into the machine. As you do so, remove the bag and allow the insulation to fall naturally into the machine. Do not let the bag fall into the machine, and do not overload or stuff the chute, which will cause the machine to jam. Feed the next half package into the machine when you can see the Add More line inside the hopper. The amount of insulation you blow into the attic depends on the R value, or level of insulating performance you wish to achieve. The higher the R value number, the better the thermal performance, and the thicker the layer of TrueComfort insulation, the higher the R value will be. Check this attic application coverage chart, found on the back side of the TrueComfort package, to calculate how much insulation you'll need to achieve your desired R value per square feet of the total job. Now it's time to get to work. Start at the farthest point in the attic and work back toward the attic hatch or exit. Use the attic rulers we discussed earlier as your guide. Your goal is to fill the attic with a level blanket up to the desired R value as marked on the rulers. Tight areas of the attic may be a little tricky to fill. Place your hand slightly over the end of the hose to help direct the material flow more precisely. This is referred to as cupping and lets you disperse the air, letting the insulation drop closer to the end of the hose. This method should only be used in tight areas, as material density is increased and coverage is reduced. It's important not to block eave vents as you blow insulation. Attic baffles or vents will help prevent blown insulation from blocking airflow into the attic. It's also critical to make sure all openings from the attic into the living space are covered. Recessed lighting fixtures and fan motors protruding into the attic must not be covered with insulation. In fact, blowing insulation should be kept at least 3 inches from standard lighting. This rule does not apply to IC-type fixtures. Continue feeding insulation packages into the machine until you have a level blanket and have reached your desired R value. At this point, run the machine until all insulation is emptied from the hopper and hose. Now you can shut off the machine, either from the control panel or the remote control at the end of the hose. If the agitator stops working, or the agitator circuit breaker on the electrical panel trips when installing TrueComfort, the problem can often be traced to a machine jam. The first and most important thing to do in the event of a jam is to turn off and unplug the machine. The operator should notify the installer in the attic that there is a problem. If the jam is in the agitator area, you'll have to take the hopper off the base unit to reach the jammed area. Feel through the insulation in the machine base and remove any hard, tight material that is clogging up the agitator paddles. Once the jam has been cleared, set everything back up as it was before and reset the agitator circuit breaker if it tripped. Plug the electrical cord back in. The ready light on the control panel should be illuminated at this point. If it's not, double-check the agitator circuit breaker. Let your partner in the attic know when the machine is ready to restart. If the machine is running but not blowing insulation, you could have a void in the product in the hopper. To solve this, wiggle the material until it breaks loose. If the remote control at the end of the hose doesn't work, make sure the machine is set up in an open area, away from masonry walls, that can block the signal. Allow 4 feet of clearance around the machine. We hope this video has helped you successfully complete your attic insulation project. Thank you for choosing Certainteed TrueComfort Insulation.